Hello, and welcome to the Successful Introvert, How to Confidently Grow Your Business and Your Bank Account, a weekly interview series where I'll be interviewing experts on how to grow your confidence, step out of your comfort zone, and thrive in your business. I'm Erin, Summ, confidence coach for women entrepreneurs, supporting shy and introverted women entrepreneurs to step past their fears of being seen and heard into the confidence so they can shine their bright, beautiful light and make a much bigger impact on the world and their bank account. Make sure to join the free Stand Up and Shine Confidence Challenge at erinsumm.com/confidence challenge to expand your confidence and increase your income in less than 10 minutes a day. I am so thrilled to have Liesel Teversham with us today talking about the powerful impact of emotion and how we can utilize that for confidence. After 10 years as a musician and another 10 as a computer programmer, Liesel started her third career in the emotional wellness industry in 2005. Her biggest eye-opener was learning how unresolved emotions and events from childhood negatively impact our success journey. Very interesting. She's qualified in methods to resolve those challenges quickly and simply. She now works also with positive psychology and helps her clients to embrace and celebrate their unique strengths. She helps introverts to build confidence so they can thrive. Liesel is the author of No Problem, The Upside of No, and Coping with a Dying Pet. And she's hosted 2 podcast shows and a Telesummit. Welcome, Liesel. So excited to have you on today.
Thank you so much, Erin. It's such a privilege to be here.
Yeah, so thrilled. And Liesel, you're joining us from South Africa. That's so exciting.
That's right. And we're going into winter. You're going into summer.
Oh, okay. Very cool. I always forget that we're kind of opposite. That's fun little tidbit.
Yep.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to have you on today, Liesel. So I want to know a little bit more about your business first before we jump into the questions.
Sure. Thanks so much. What I do, Erin, is to help introverts to gain confidence and really believe in themselves. And I work with 2 different sort of groups, if I can call it that. The one group is people who are going through a really big crisis, and it could be a relationship crisis or a career crisis, and they don't know where to turn to, what decision to make to move things forward. And so I help them to sort through the mess and find a way forward and gain confidence through that process. And the other group is introverts who may have a big juicy goal and they're really terrified to step into action, and so they procrastinate. You know, the fear of the spotlight, the things you talked about in the beginning. Mm-hmm. So those are my favorite things to help people with.
That's awesome. And so how did you get started with that? I know, you know, in your bio, you were doing computer programming and all sorts of other things. You're a musician, all sorts of things like that before. How did you step into this arena?
Yeah, that's such a great question, because it took me a really long time to get here. As you know, it took me 20 years to decide what I want to do is work with people. I grew up in a home where emotions were swept under the carpet, and I had my music to help me process those emotions. And I actually, I suffered from depression for about 15 years because everything was suppressed and repressed. Mm-hmm. And it was only in it must be in my late 30s or so that I started finding for myself techniques to process emotions in a healthy way. And as I went on that journey for myself, I started finding I actually enjoy this very much. And I've always had this real big, like a calling, could I say, to help people, but I never had the tools. And so as I learned these tools for myself, I started finding it more and more fulfilling to help others with it. So it was kind of a long journey for me to actually start a business with it, but it is so fulfilling for me. And because one of my natural strengths, as we're going to talk about later, is having empathy. So people find it really easy to come and tell me their problems. And the tools that I have now are really, really effective to actually not just talk about it, but help in an effective way to process through that.
Yeah, I think empathy is so important in what we do, because we have, we're helping people with inner challenges, and so it's really important for us to be empathetic and to understand what they're going through. Whether we've been through that or not, we can be empathetic and say, yeah, I get that, and really support them in whether it's a trauma or whether it's, they're trying to step into their higher selves and to reach for bigger goals.
Exactly. It's nothing happens in an arena or an area of judgment, right? Nothing can really heal, and we can't move forward when we feel judged. So the empathy is a really important place to create a safety for people to step forward.
Yes, absolutely. So were there ever times that you didn't feel confident that your business was going to work?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. A lot of times, Erin. In fact, probably every time I started something new or I stepped into a new area where I had not been before, like that unsure feeling of, can I really do this new thing? So technology doesn't really stop me because I used to be a programmer, but all the things around that. And I think probably the biggest example I can mention is when I decided, or with the help of a coach mentor in around about 2014, that I wanted to host a Telesummit. And at the time, that was our decision. That's what I'm going to do to build my list. And I was so terrified of this place because I couldn't even use the word Telesummit because I thought that's just not who I am. It sounds too big for little old me. So I had to work through a lot of things in my emotional world and beliefs about who I am, my identity, in order to even start going there. So that's probably the biggest example I can mention where I came across the biggest wall for myself of fear, anxiety. I don't think I can do this. This is not me. Other people can do it, but so that was a big one for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that happens to us a lot. We go, no, I don't know. I'm too quiet. I'm too shy. I'm too introverted. Whatever that, that thing is for us. That has held us back our whole lives, we get stuck in that and we think that we can't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like a nice little identity, like this is who I am, and I can't be different. So it's a big thing, our identity, that the way we see ourselves, and it kind of sticks around. It's very, very solid and firm until we can start working through it. So
yeah. And my next question is around the childhood experiences piece. And I have found that, before I ask the question, I found that a lot of people have experienced traumas or different things in their lives, years and years and years and years ago, where they hold on to it in the back, where they don't even realize that it's a limiting belief anymore, or they never even realized that it ever was one, and it came to them when they were a young child, and it holds them back. And as soon as they understand, oh my gosh, this thing that's holding me back now is something that happened to me when I was 5 years old. As soon as they understand that, they can start releasing and start soaring. So my question is, I know that you've studied a lot about early, childhood experiences and how that shapes our confidence. So can you tell us a little bit more about that now, so we can understand a little bit more about, how things 30 years ago or whatever have shaped our confidence and how we can get past that?
Absolutely. That is so one of my passions. I can talk about this for hours, but I'll try and be short. So I'm going to try and explain it. I think the easiest way to understand it is if I use a metaphor. So say we've got a feeling in ourselves like I just don't have enough confidence to go where I want to go. I'll call that a tabletop, a nice little, like a tabletop, right? Mm-hmm. But what's holding the tabletop up is the legs underneath the tabletop. And those legs are the childhood experiences we had that taught us that I'm not supposed to be confident, or I shouldn't be confident, or I'm just not good enough, or whatever it is that happened for us at the time. So, for instance, one of them maybe Dad came home one day and he was angry and frustrated from stuff at work, and then we tried to speak up, and Dad, shouted us down. And from that experience, we learned something like, I'm not allowed to speak up. Mm-hmm. And, 2 years later, we're sitting in a classroom with a teacher, and that teacher criticizes us in front of the class, and she said, your work's terrible, you'll never amount to anything. That's another table leg. And so we go through life. Now, a child before the age of 6 is usually in what we call a hypnagogic state. That is the state that a hypnotist tries to get us in when we try and implant new beliefs into the subconscious mind. So for a child before the age of 6, they only take in everything that happens to their senses as if it's the truth. They have no filters yet. Everything goes directly into the subconscious mind. And from those childhood experiences, what they do is they make meaning from it. So it was not true factually that dad meant, I don't love you, but that's the meaning the child give the experience.
Right.
And so we go through life making meaning of the events that take place. And in the end, we end up with this tabletop called I'm not confident, or I have no confidence, or I need more confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And we have many, many of these tabletops. And, some of them relate to each other, but that's the way our beliefs are formed. And once it's in the subconscious mind, that belief that says I'm not confident, it's not a mere case of just deciding, okay, I'm going to be more confident from now on, I'm going to do all these confident things. And so we need to go gently back to the subconscious mind and go and look at those childhood experiences and try and find some of them, the bigger ones and the smaller ones, and work through tools that can talk to the subconscious mind.
Yes.
To try and clear out the charged emotion that is still sitting there, because it's the charged emotion that is keeping the table leg in place. And if we can chop down table legs, as they're being chopped down, the tabletop can no longer stay in place. Does it make sense?
Yes, absolutely. I love that. And I think that's so true. We go through and we pick out all these different experiences, and it amounts to I'm not good enough. It steals our confidence, and it might be I'm not good enough to have a relationship. It might be I'm not good enough to build a business. It might be, not good enough to be the weight that I want to be, and so we carry all these experiences with us.
Yes. Yes. And as you said earlier, sometimes it's a case of just sort of making that connection, like, oh my goodness, I never thought that experience as 6 years old still have an effect on me today. Sometimes it's as easy as making that connection, and other times there's a bit more trauma, and it causes some fight, fright, or freeze response in the body, and we need to work with specific tools to clear that out to help the body release it. But just even noticing it has a powerful effect where what we know, like with awareness, no longer has exactly the same hold on us. Yes.
Yeah. And I've noticed that with my clients as well. It's like, well, don't you think that experience that you had as a child connects with what what's going on with you now? And we kind of connect the pieces. And as soon as they connect it and figure that out and can move past it, they are like, they're on the road,
Yes, it clears the road ahead so that we have a clearer runway.
Yeah.
There's another metaphor that's amazing. It's about the sort of a forest. It's like a forest of diseased trees, and all these diseased trees are the ones that gave us these beliefs, like the events in our life. So if we chop down this, a tree at a time and just clear out that emotional forest, it's easier to navigate our way. We don't bump up against triggers all the time.
Yeah.
So yes, those experiences really, really shape us, even whether we want to know it or not. Unfortunately, our past does have a bearing on who we are now, but it doesn't have to stay that way. That's the point I really want to make. We're not stuck there.
Yes, absolutely. We're never stuck in a situation or a belief. We can always change our mindset and our beliefs no matter when in life. Which brings me to my next question, which is, so for those viewers who are 50 or older, or, I talk to people too who are in their 30s and they think, I can't start over, or I can't change now. And I'm like, yeah, you can absolutely, do something different now. So for those viewers who are older, in their 50s or older, and might feel like it's too late, quote unquote, for them to have a happy childhood, tell us how they can shift now. And I know this is a really long, there's a lot of layers to this. So, just give us kind of the gist of how they can do that.
Yeah, and I think the important thing for me here is, thanks so much for asking that question, is there is a way through all of this to a happy childhood. We just have to keep that in mind. And the way to do it is, one of my favorite tools is a tool called EFT, that stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Why I love this tool so much is it's a technique that anyone can learn for self-help. So there's a process that you can follow called the personal peace procedure. That's a step-by-step thing that you can follow, and to work systematically and gently through each of those childhood experiences that you can still remember. Because what happens, those childhood experiences are stored in our brain as pictures, right? When we run that picture in our mind, we get those awful feelings, even today, sitting here 50 years later. So when we can change those pictures in the mind and the sounds, the external sensory information that we took in, we each make them mean something here in our brain. So when we can clear out those pictures and start creating new pictures in the brain, totally different things can happen for us. So we can take those childhood pictures that are not happy at the moment, change them into different pictures, and our life going forward can be totally different. So we can actually reshape or reform our childhood pictures. And there is an addition to EFT, it's called matrix reimprinting. And there's a lot of information available about it. I'm a practitioner about it. If anybody wants more information, I'm more than willing to help them understand it a bit more. But that's a specific technique that is so powerful to help us to get to a happy childhood, even if we're 50 years old and older.
Nice. And that was called, what would you call that? Matrix
reimprinting.
Matrix reimprinting. I haven't heard of that. That's interesting. I'll have to look into that a little more. And for those of you
beautiful, and
go ahead.
It's sort of an extension, so we use it with EFT. So it's usually EFT with matrix reimprinting. So please go and look it up. It's incredibly powerful, and a really powerful way to change these pictures in our brain very quickly and powerfully and effectively. I've had huge results for myself in my own life, and with clients. So yeah.
Very interesting. And for those of you who don't know what EFT is, it's tapping. For those, if you've heard of that, you may have heard of tapping. So you tap on it's meridian points. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. So that's a really interesting technique as well. It's really cool that you do that.
Yeah. And it's what's lovely about it is you can use it for self-help in any moments of stress. And as you go through your day and you think, I have to write that newsletter. I don't know what to say, or, how will people receive it? You can in the moment do a few minutes of tapping and help yourself through that stress as you go through that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or if you have, some emotions come up too, is how I understand, if maybe you see something on social media that bothers you, or there's something going on where you're, maybe there's an argument or something, you can start tapping and help that release those emotions around that.
Precisely. Yes.
Yeah. It's a really interesting technique. It's I like to, I've been learning a little bit more about it lately, and it's really interesting.
Oh, well, fun. That's beautiful, Erin. And yes, I'm so glad you find it interesting and lovely as well, because it's powerful and simple at the same time, and there's a lot of information available about it that you can gather even through free resources.
Yeah, nice. So how does one build? You do a lot of strength finding through StrengthsFinder, I believe. How do you gain confidence through owning your own unique strengths?
Yeah, that is another great question. All this work that I had been doing with EFT and with helping people, let's say, fix problems or fix the difficult things, the traumatic events and so on, that is sort of focused on things that are wrong with us, right? We always have this thing in our mind, like, there's so much more that I can work through or process and so on. And I don't know, maybe some of your listeners have suffered from this as well, the compare and despair syndrome. Like, I always look at other people and I think, why can't I be like that? I used to think for myself, I want to be a kick-ass coach, but I just find it so hard. I can't be like that. I don't know why. And I'm always falling short of the thing that I'm trying to compare myself against. And then a couple years ago, I found out about this Clifton or Gallup StrengthsFinder. And that is a tool that helps people to find, in a scientific way, their unique strengths. Now, when I found out about mine, I was totally blown away. And suddenly I understood why I will never be like the introverted kick-ass coach that some of my friends can be. Right. Just knowing that opened some doors for me of relief and relaxation, and totally giving myself permission to be how I am and not try to be like somebody else, or feeling like, oh, I'll just never make it. It's a horrible place to try and be like somebody else, and you can never actually get there, can you? So it builds, I find the minute that people hear that they have these amazing strengths and we talk through them and help them to understand where they're already showing up in their life and that they are there all the time and how unique it makes them, it gives them amazing confidence and permission to be themselves. And that permission in itself almost is worth, well, gold.
Yeah.
And when we are living our life and building a business and being authentic in that way, we're at our most creative, at our most inspired, at our most motivated and energetic. We come up with the best ideas when we are busy using our strengths. So strengths gives us a chance to understand what's right with us.
Yes.
And sometimes in childhood, we actually got negative messages about some of our strengths, so they turn into a liability for us. But if we can understand what the strength is behind that negative thing that we always thought was a terrible thing, it gives us a new way to look at it, a new way, view on ourselves, and wow, big doors can open.
I love that. And, as mentioned about extroverts and, comparing ourselves, is that we live in this society that values extroverts, right? And we're told that as entrepreneurs, we need to be this extroverted, big personality, and we need to be out there networking all the time and doing all these things to be successful. And as introverts, a lot of times we try to follow that pattern, and then we get lost and we get sick. We give ourselves these sicknesses that take us a long time, take us out really can take us out for a long time.
Yes.
And we need to come back to who we are. We need to really understand. And part of what I do, and I'm sure part of what you do, Liesel, is helping introverts to understand that you don't have to be that badass coach or that, like going for it all the time and constantly hustling and doing all these things that we're told that we need to do in order to be successful. Is that we can be our quiet selves and make a huge impact. And we can be exactly who we are. And that's exactly how we're going to make the impact, is by being who we are. And if we try to be someone else, if we try to be that extroverted personality that we're not, we're just going to run ourselves into the ground instead of actually creating success.
Exactly. And it's like what you said, we create illness because of the exhaustion of trying to be something that we're not, of pushing ourselves beyond our limits.
Yeah.
We have different needs that extroverts have, and if we don't honor those needs, a lot go wrong in our health and our psyche and our enjoyment of life and our business. And it's just exhausting and stressful to try and do something. In fact, in the Strengths Finder, to explain it a little bit, there's your top 10 to 12 strengths that are your absolute strengths that's always there for you. It's your default. You don't even know you do them anymore. Right at the bottom of the list, there's 5 to 8 of them that are draining for you. And so often when we try and be like somebody else, we're using those draining strengths. It's draining for us. It may be extremely energizing for an extrovert, but those are the draining ones for us. And if we go there all the time, we exhaust ourselves, our body's resources and energy levels. And, self-care goes for a loop. Like you say, we can have months of adrenal fatigue if we don't take care of that. So for me, it was an eye-opener to find it's like, okay, I can forget about needing to be like that. It's not good for me to try and do that. So it was such a relief and an acknowledgement, and there's a different word, but just like, oh, I can let go of all of that.
Yes, it is a relief. Such a huge relief to know that we don't have to be somebody who we're not. Yeah. And if you're wondering, like, are these people for real? I can really make, a big impact as who I am as a quiet introvert. Google successful introverts, and you'll come up with hundreds of them, if not more than that. Because, Gandhi was an introvert. Rosa Parks, Steve Jobs, So many highly successful introverts have done amazing things because of who they were, not in spite of that. So I just, I always like to point that out because of what we're just talking about. It's, people think that we have to be this other thing, and you don't.
Exactly. You don't have to be loud to stand out or to make an impact. We can do it in our own beautiful, quiet way, in a way that's right for our energy system, and still make an impact.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So what advice do you have for introverted entrepreneurs who might be in that spot where they maybe don't feel good enough, or they're trying to push themselves in a way that they, aren't comfortable?
I think my first thing would be go and find out what's right about you. So we can do that in one of two ways. One is just a simple way, is just make a list of all your accomplishments that you've had. It can be little things like, well, I passed matric, I passed school, I passed university. Or ask friends and family who are supportive to point out your good points and your good qualities and what they enjoy about you, or past clients. So that's one way. The other way is go to the Gallup Strengths Center and go and do a top 5 online assessment. It takes about 40 minutes. I think it's about $20, and you'll get your results immediately. And then please have a conversation with a strengths coach who can help you talk through it and understand it in depth, so you can really celebrate and own those strengths. So that's the one thing, is find out what's right with you. That's the first step. And then the second step is, if you're not comfortable going looking in the past, there may be, things that you're a little bit scared of. We're all scared of some of our things in the past, and we don't want to go and look there because it's sometimes painful and uncomfortable. Find someone who can help you, but to chop down those table legs so that our tabletops can start falling down, the negative limiting ones, so that we can just go forward with, I am okay, and I can just be who I am. I don't have to compare myself, and I do have the confidence. And I also want to say, sometimes we don't have confidence, but we can go forward anyway. Yes. We can do this afraid. I was terrified at the beginning of our interview. I was, my heart was beating so fast. And we're doing this anyway, right? We can do things even though we're a little bit scared, and even though the confidence may not be at 100% at the time.
Oh, absolutely. And you're doing great. This has been an awesome interview. And even though you're scared, you can still A, do it, and B, rock it.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, Liesel, we're going to wrap up our time together, but I know you have a couple of freebies to offer everyone listening today. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, thank you. Yes, I have 2 freebies, Erin. So I mentioned I work with people who are in crisis sometimes, and others who want to fulfill a goal, achieve a goal. So for each of those, I have a freebie. The one is a 7-day e-course that's free of charge, and they can go and subscribe on my website. So 7 steps to help them get into action. And then the other is for people in crisis, how to have confidence and clarity even though you're going through a crisis. So both of them are on my website. I don't know if you'll say the link, or
I'll give it. I'll put the link in here, but go ahead and give it as well.
Thank you. So it's savvyselfgrowth.com.
Okay. So put it in the comments. It's not show. Oh, there it is. savvyselfgrowth.com. I just put it in the comments. So go ahead and get those free gifts from Liesel on her website. And also, Liesel, how can people get a hold of you?
The best place, I think, is at my website as well. There's a contact form. There's a link to my Facebook page. I have both a Facebook page and also a Facebook group for introverts, Savvy Self Growth for Introverts. So nice. If you can look up the link. In fact, it's, all the facebook.com/groups, Savvy Self Growth for Introverts. I kept it simple, like exactly the way you say it is how you spell it as well.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, I'm sure everyone has gotten so much value from this. I know I have. It's been really exciting and interesting talking to you. I've learned a lot. So everyone, go ahead and reach out to Liesel if you have any questions, if you want some free gifts, if you want to chat with her, go ahead and reach out. And make sure to tune in on Thursday. This was a special bonus interview time because Liesel's in South Africa, so neither one of us wanted to be up in the middle of the night to talk. So we decided to do a special bonus interview because I really wanted to have her on today. So our normal viewing time is 4 o'clock on Thursdays Pacific time. And so this Thursday we will have another interview, and we'll be interviewing Katarina Rando, and she will be speaking about public speaking for introverts. So if you're an introvert, you haven't gone out in public, got into the public speaking realm yet, but you really want to, get on this interview. It's going to be amazing. So mark your calendars, make sure to join in. And again, go ahead and get your free gift from Liesel. And if you haven't joined the Confidence Challenge yet, make sure to join that as well at erinsumm.com/confidence challenge. All right, Liesel, I hope you have a wonderful evening where you are. And thank you again so much for joining us. Everyone, make sure to get a hold of Liesel and get her free gifts as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Erin. This was delightful. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, everyone. See you next time. Thanks for joining.